I want to bring in Luis Martinez now at the Pentagon. Luis, what else are U.S. officials saying about this right now, I guess in their limited understanding of what's happening?
No, that's exactly right, Phil. I mean, across the board, U.S. officials that I've been talking to are trying to get a sense, trying to get a handle exactly what type of response the Israelis are carrying out right now inside of Tehran. And I should say, though what we are seeing are these social media reports about activity in Tehran, we should remember that there are other military locations throughout throughout Iran. So potentially we may see other reports popping up as the night progresses. But right now, I think what we're seeing is just now the initial reports of something happening inside of Tehran. And one of the things that you get from that statement that we got from, that ABC received from the IDF, that they are not attacking energy infrastructure inside of Israel, indicates that this is what was going to be called a proportional response, that they're going to be targeting military sites within Iran. And so I think that's one of the key things that we need to keep in mind. Remember that when that strike of almost 180 missiles was launched towards Israel back on October 1st, the missiles that actually got through past the air defense systems that the Israelis have were at military facilities, namely one of the large Israeli Air Force bases in southern Israel. And so since then, I think the talk has been about the United States walking back Israel from striking at energy infrastructure, because that could exacerbate things, and just limiting themselves to military strikes. And I think that's what we're seeing tonight so far.
And Louis, we've been following this back and forth between U.S. officials and the Netanyahu government, obviously trying to broker a ceasefire with what's gone on in Gaza. But beyond that, how Israel would respond to Iran, this barrage of the 180 projectiles, the missiles, the ballistic missiles that they fired just 3 weeks ago. What type of support does the U.S. already have in the region? Kind of, you go through, we know there are carriers there, but there are some troops that just went to Israel with a defense system.
No, you're exactly right, Phil. Just today, CENTCOM confirmed that a squadron of F-16s had arrived in the Middle East region, and that it was operational and ready to assist, to kind of bring stability to the region and potentially assist Israel should there be a response from Iran in the future. And what are we talking about? We're talking about the United States having 40,000 forces in the region. Yes, you mentioned that there's an aircraft carrier. There are destroyers in the region. There are also these destroyers offshore in the eastern Mediterranean off the coast of Israel that are capable of shooting ballistic missiles fired from Iran. And that was actually the case during the attacks in April and the most recent attack on October 1st. But you also have additional air defense systems. So these 3 squadrons of aircraft that have been flowed in, they are doing what is called a plus-up here in military terms. That means that they are in addition to the units that are already there. This was going to be a temporary move because these units that were already there inside of the Middle East were going to be returning home. These are the replacement units. What you do is you hold over those air squadrons a little longer as the new aircraft come in, and you've doubled the size of your air component. So that was one of the defensive measures that the United States put in place recently in the wake of the October 1st attack, and we're now seeing it in place. But again, the United States has a lot of capability in case they need to assist Israel with their air defense. But as we've seen in these 2 attacks now against Israel, Israel has a very strong air defense system. Everybody knows about Iron Dome. That deals with rockets being fired at short range and at low altitudes. But they also have something called the Arrow, and they have something called the David Sling, and those can intercept incoming ballistic missiles to great effect. So, and now, as we know, the United States sent that THAAD missile battery, which essentially does the same thing and potentially can cover some of those areas that were exposed during the most previous attack on October 1st, namely that base down in southern Israel.
And Louis, we know that the concern since October 7th for world leaders has been that this escalates perhaps even out of control in this particular area of the world. Now that America does obviously have the assets that you were just talking about over there, what is the level of concern at the Pentagon for the troops that went over with the THAAD defense system and the other American assets in the area?
Yeah, definitely a level of concern for the 100 service members, mostly soldiers, who are responsible for that bad system inside of Israel. But not only that, Phil, we're talking about American forces throughout the region. The concern is that if this becomes into a regional conflict, you have U.S. forces in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, in Bahrain, UAE, Kuwait, the entire area right across from the Persian Gulf. So those are forces that could be exposed, and that's why the United States is mainly concerned about the force protection of those units. Now, those units are going to have air defense systems, but then you've also got the units that are inside of Iraq and inside of Syria. Excuse me. And what you have there is that those are the ones that have been most exposed over the last year or so to incoming fire from Iranian-supported militia groups. So how does the United States deal with that? They have put in place defensive measures there as well. But one of the big concerns is that these Iranian-backed proxy groups, as they're called, supported groups in both in Yemen, which, as we know, has been striking at tons of commercial traffic going there through the Red Sea, and also the same groups that are carrying out these attacks on Iraq and inside Syria, that the risk has been, the concern has been here at the Pentagon, that those groups would once again strike really strongly at U.S. forces that are exposed because they don't have the infrastructure that they do have in some of the other countries.
Yeah, Louis, that's such an important point because we've seen some attacks on U.S. interests in that area since October 7th because America is an ally of Israel and supports Israel's ongoing right to defend itself. So we've actually seen that, and this, of course, could get worse for troops over there as well. Luis Martinez from the Pentagon. Louis, thank you very much for that.